Yeah, debate is still for nerds. Season 4, episode 8, Cobra Kai. Listen, this is the final episode of the season before we get into the tournament. In fact, I think this is the night before the tournament.
It is, yeah.
Which, by the way, is kind of funny that they have the prom. Like the night before the tournament, you should be getting lots of sleep, probably not drinking.
Not drinking.
You should be in the right headspace. Not one of these kids did that. They had the prom, they're boozing it up. They're fighting at the fucking poolside. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yep.
Obviously, this is a spoilers video. I've already spoiled several things here. I'll tell you, old man can kick.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, no, it's a quote from later in the movie. Okay, we'll talk about it later as we get to it.
Moving along.
Yes. All right. So let's start at the beginning here. It starts where we see this woman, and you don't see her face right away, but she's standing in the kitchen. She's eating like an eclair or some kind of bullshit. And you know, she's in her pink robe, and you're thinking, like, who is this exactly? Yeah. And we pan up, and we find out this woman has a big beard, a very manly beard, which the only way to have a beard is to have a manly one, really. And we find out it is our old friend Stingray. Did you imagine at all that Stingray was going to show up in season 4?
No, I didn't. I thought he was out. He's not allowed to be around children.
I really imagined in season 3, at the beginning of season 3, when they explained him out of the story, that he was arrested or something. I just figured by the time we see him again, it'll be way late in the show, and he'll be like in the stands at a tournament going, I was in Cobra Kai or something like that. That was my first thought, that's how we're going to see him again. Or maybe now he's working at a gas station one day. Didn't expect for him to actually be worked into the story anymore.
Yeah.
So this was a bit of a surprise. And then that whole elongated thing with the neighbor. What did you think of all that? When he goes outside and he fights with the neighbor and they get in this whole argument. Did you like this?
Yeah, I liked it actually. It clued me into he was going to have a storyline in this episode.
Yeah.
If they spent that much time in the first scene of the show with him and the neighbor, then he's going to have some kind of a storyline, and he did.
Yeah, for me, this slowed down the episode in the season. We're in the final episode before the tournament. I want to see other things go on. So to me, I could have done without all that. I know it's cool to see Stingray again, and I know he does end up, obviously the end of the episode is big for him, and we'll talk about that in a few, but I also don't think that it was... it was so much jokey bullshit, you know, and then the frisbees up on the roof to the neighbor, and
it's a different disc entirely.
Yeah. so yeah.
But no, this season is so much about the psychology of everybody though, and this elongated scene with him clued us into his psychology, which is important for his arc later.
That's true. Yeah, that is a good point. We did need to know and be reminded of how important Cobra Kai was to him and still is to him. So that's a good point. Yeah, I guess we needed it. Just the neighbor, the guy from Wolf of Wall Street, it was a little too over the top. This got very cartoony very fast. You know, oh, Stingray. You know, like it didn't seem at all like a real adult argument. But anyway, all right, so moving on from that. So Stingray goes back inside the house. And then we move over to the beginning of Prom, right? To the prom photos and everything. Uh-huh. This was cute. In that, you know, Johnny and Miguel's mom and even Miguel's grandma all came over. Daniel's mom was there. Another great opportunity to work her back into the story.
Yeah.
So I like all that. And it was awkward that Johnny and Louie had to see each other.
Yeah.
Remember, it was a cool little moment where Louie's like, hey, just so you know, man, I don't see those guys anymore. That was interesting. But you made a really good point.
Yeah, we've seen this episode multiple times at this point. When we watched it last night, it occurred to me there was no reaction from Lucille that Johnny was there. And I don't remember, was it the first season or the second season that she went on and on about what bullies Cobra Kai were, and she didn't say anything about Johnny being in the home. So I don't know. It didn't, maybe it's not a big deal, but it occurred to me last night, like, geez, has she seen Johnny already? Or because why wasn't there a reaction?
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, Lucille is Daniel's mom who was there. And it's, if you're kind of a casual viewer, she wasn't in season 3. So, and she's barely in season 4 here. But Daniel's mom, you know, hates Johnny for what he did to Daniel. And you'd assume maybe it's still that way after all these years. But the fact that Johnny came over, see, right there is a missed opportunity to have a really awkward moment. You know, where she could, and it would have been, I think, good fan service if she's like, wow, look at you, all grown up, or something, and she could have made some comment like, hopefully you're not terrorizing teenagers. And then they could have did a little flashback to in season 3 when he smacked the book out of that kid's hand and shit. I don't know. I would have preferred to put the time into that for this episode instead of all the Stingray stuff that came before. I think that could have been shortened, but anyway, whatever. So that was a great scene to see everybody all together. I wish they capitalized on it a little bit more. Then we meet Daniel's cousin. I think she was a little bit later by the time she was really fleshed out, though. That was a little later in the episode.
Yeah.
But that was interesting. By the way, she's played by Macchio's daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she looks so much like him. I totally bought into her being family.
And I loved her scene, actually, too. So
yeah,
bravo.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that in a little bit as we're going to try to go in order here today. So then we get when Johnny and Carmen go back to the apartments. That's where things get really weird to me. That's when Shannon shows up. Remember, Robbie's mom. And that's when now we got to crowbar in a goofy reason for Johnny to fight Terry. And did you like this reasoning that she comes up and she's like, oh, this guy gave a bunch of money to Robbie and he gave him a nice car for the night and he offered me a job. Oh, horrible things. He thought you were nice. He offered you a job. He gave Robbie some money to go enjoy his prom after the guy was just in jail for no reason, in juvie.
But Shannon, as a mother, her, red flags were going off for her because this felt too manipulative. This wasn't benevolent. So she wants Johnny's input and she couldn't reach him. That's why she came to the apartment. He's the dad and he's Cobra Kai, or he's affiliated with these guys. So she wants him to handle it.
I don't think there's an it there. I think she's a terrible mom.
A man walks into your house and hands you a wad of cash. Yeah, there's something not right.
It's a little weird. I just think I'm not so much against Shannon having a little bit of an issue about it. I just think it's odd that Johnny immediately feels the need to break through the locks at Cobra Kai and show up at Cobra Kai looking for these guys wanting to fight. It was a little strange to me. I think there was a million better ways to put Johnny at odds with Terry Silver. And this way didn't quite do it. Why wouldn't I look, I love the episode. I love the show. But I think Johnny could have said things. I think something could have happened where Terry really was manipulating Robbie. And instead, this was like, look, Robbie was just in jail for something he didn't do wrong. Miguel attacked him. Fucking Robbie defended himself and had to go to this fucking juvenile jail. So look, it's the night of the tournament. It's his prom, or the prom and then the tournament. Yeah, let him have a little style. I think that's just kind of a nice thing to do since the guy has some money. And it's not Robbie's fault or Terry Silver's fault that Johnny's a shitty dad who hasn't been around. I mean, Robbie's got bad parents. Terry sees that, and Terry wants to step in and help. I don't think it was such a bad thing.
He wants to step in and manipulate.
We don't know that. We don't even know. But we know it because we're the audience. We saw Karate Kid 3, but Shannon never saw Karate Kid Part 3. So she doesn't know anything. That'd have been a great line if they had to break the fourth wall. She's like, I saw Karate Kid Part 3, Johnny. You didn't. I know what this guy's capable of. It's party time, Yeah, she could use all the lines. So anyway, I thought that was a very forced way to get Johnny and Terry, to build a grudge between them. I think there were a million better ways to do it than they didn't do. But anyway, all right, so whatever. So Johnny shows up and now Johnny's pissed.
Yeah.
For very little reason. He breaks the locks. He gets in. And now it's kind of like almost like a Silence of the Lambs kind of moment because Terry's not there, right? Yeah. So Terry just sees him on the video. I thought that was an interesting choice.
Security camera.
It's about time that someone shows up to Cobra Kai and finds no one. Because it's so funny that no matter what time of day, they're always there. It's ridiculous. So this made more sense. I love that Terry was kind of slimy enough to kind of get there, call him on the phone and just tell him, to immediately start threatening him.
Yeah.
And really, I guess Johnny started the threats, but that was cool. And then I don't really know the significance of sending him to the old location. I don't really know why that was important.
To ambush him.
Well, right, but it's not really an ambush. I mean, he said he was going to be there. So, what's the difference if Terry showed? I don't know. I guess you're right. Terry got to get there first and wait for him, I guess. So they have their fight. We all wanted to see this. It was great fan service. Johnny versus Terry. Terry won.
Well, yeah, because Terry had the element of surprise, and he clocked Johnny.
Yeah, that was rough. He did get a great element of surprise. They got to bring that up later. And Johnny's ears were ringing. They showed us what that felt like for Johnny to be on the ground. And yeah, that was bad. And then Kreese's reaction didn't make sense to me because in the heat of the moment at
It
the
was
end of
unexpected.
it was weird because again we're doing kind of some retconning. I know people can change a little, but at the end of season 3, which timeline wise was only a few months ago here, season 3 ends going into the new year, and now this is May, so it's only a few months ago.
Hmm.
Kreese tried to kill Johnny again. Right, it wasn't that long ago, and animosities have only grown since then. They haven't lessened, they've grown. And now here Terry is beating up Johnny, and Kreese is completely offended by it. I thought that was a little strange on Kreese's part.
Hmm.
Um, and then what do we got? So Johnny gets home somehow. I don't know how Johnny got home, but he made it home somehow,
Yeah.
and he's passed out on the ground. It was a hard scene to watch.
Yeah.
And Miguel shows up because he just went through hell with that idiot Sam at prom. Sam really out of her mind, right? We got to do a video just on what a psychopath she is. I mean, she starts a fight at prom when she had just promised him that they were going to do no karate talk, no
Yeah.
anything. She ruins prom for no reason. Tori didn't start that fight at all. Tori was just waiting in line to
Sam
get a
started
drink.
This one.
Sam just bullies Tori this whole season. It's hilarious. She went from being terrified of Tori
Yeah.
to now all she wants to do is go after Tori constantly.
Yeah.
Ruin prom, got everybody. They fought next to a pool. You know how dangerous that is to fight next to a pool after Miguel just lost the use of his legs?
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. What are these kids fucking doing? It all started with her again. She is the biggest shit starter in this whole thing. She's worse than Daniel. So we got the scene with Sholo, that heartbreaking scene where Miguel
Yeah.
says, I love you to Johnny. And then Johnny says, yeah, I love you too, Robbie. That's obviously very sad.
Yeah. The acting from Jolo in that scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Because I wept. It just broke my heart, that whole scene, and his acting was just so phenomenal. Very believable, and it touched me.
Yeah.
What can I say? It touched me.
He's great. Like I said, there's a few actors on the show that are phenomenal, and he's one of them. And it's funny because he's so young and he's just a great actor. But yeah, so then we get to the Anthony stuff again. And Anthony is in deep shit because apparently Daniel does not want his kid to be a bully.
Yeah, Anthony had quite the story in this episode.
He really did. I love what they're doing. I
Yeah.
love that they've made him such a bad kid. And now in this episode, he finally starts to turn it around. He comes down. He wants to take out the trash. He wants to kind of be part of the family. And
Hmm.
it's like, I actually do believe that he is starting to, to really look at his behavior and realize that it doesn't really make any sense. It's not really the right thing to be.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, I loved it when Amanda said, "I don't know what Miyagi magic you pulled with him, but it worked," or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah, to Daniel?
Yeah,
Yeah, she says that. But meanwhile,
and yeah, and I realized this quite late. Also, it wasn't Miyagi.
it was all Johnny magic. Remember
Yeah,
what
it
did
was
it?
Johnny Lawrence magic. because
Daniel yells, "Quiet!" And then Daniel broke his little tablet, and he just insisted, like Daniel starts yelling at him and shit. So that was it was
done
not
playing
in
games with
any
you.
way Miyagi magic.
Yeah.
I'm done playing. It was all Johnny, starting with yelling quiet. He broke his fucking tablet and everything. That was great. So yeah, and then we've got another Terry Silver fight. Terry Silver fights twice in this episode.
Yeah, he gets a lot of action.
Yeah. So now after all this, the prom fight, all this bullshit the night before the tournament, what does he do? Terry obliterate. And you could really see the change in Terry, by the way, when Kreese
Yeah.
was against him during what he was doing during the fight with Johnny.
Yeah.
When Kreese was saying, "No, not this way. This is not before the tournament. Don't do this." Kreese was disgusted in Terry Silver. And we talked in the last episode about how
Hmm.
that rift was starting to grow, how Kreese gave that really ominous threat
Yeah.
to Terry Silver about you better watch out, landmines, that whole thing about landmines. And now we're really starting to see it because Kreese really made clear to Terry that he was furious
Yeah.
that Terry had lured Johnny there and beaten him up. Which again, I don't understand because Johnny just showed up a few months ago and you tried to kill him. So whatever. And frankly, at the time in season 3, Johnny was kind of part of Daniel's decision to essentially kill Kreese, if you remember. When Daniel looked to
Yeah.
Johnny and then Johnny nodded and all that, Kreese saw that. So, Anyway, this episode ending with that beatdown to Raymond, that was hard to watch.
It was.
Partially because of the bad acting, partially just because I felt so bad for poor Raymond. He just wants to be liked. He just wants a group of people.
That's where he feels like he belongs. That's the only place he's ever felt like he was at home.
Yeah, it's just that was really sad to watch. So,
yeah, it was.
guys, listen, if you like this video, like, comment. We want to know your thoughts on this episode and all the other episodes as well. We'll be back to talk about episodes 9 and 10 tomorrow. You guys, thank you so much.